Greetings, my peeps, and welcome to the All Things Basketball Podcast with your boy GD. In this episode, I'll be recapping Week 11 in the NBA, all the stuff that took place, including, of course, your players of the week. Also, Luka goes nuclear, Devin Booker injury news, and a whole lot more. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Okay, guys, so we are back once again, and Happy New Year to everyone that's out there. Hope you had a safe and productive New Year there. Hope all went well with family and all. So we're going to get into it. This is the All Things Basketball Podcast with your boy GD, and we're going to recap Week 11 in the NBA, shall we? So let's get into it. So you already know how I start off. We go over the players of the week. So we will start in the West. Luka Doncic, oh man, he's been balling for the Dallas Mavericks. I mean, oh my goodness. His team went 3-1 for the week. They got wins over Minnesota, Houston, and LA. That was on Christmas. And the loss they had was to, ironically, Minnesota. They actually played 2 road games in Minnesota. NBA, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what they're doing with that, but what can you do? I mean, it's not like, well, anyway, let me not get off on that rant. So, Luka for the week, 31.5 points per game, 9 rebounds, 8 assists. That's what he averaged for the week, along with 2.3 steals. So he was getting it done on both ends. He shot a little over 49% from the field, nearly 82% from the free throw line, and a whopping 42.8% from three-point range. So you can say about 43. So Luka, man, as you know, he is my preseason MVP. I think as the record gets better for Dallas, I believe I can see him getting some MVP consideration. He's balling right now, guys. Pretty much leading the league in scoring. I mean, he's doing it all. So Luka getting it done in the West as player of the week. In the East, Pascal Siakam. You know how I feel about this guy, man. He balls. For the Toronto Raptors, his team went 2-1 for the week. Their wins over the Knicks, where he got his career high of 52 points, and over Cleveland. And the loss they took was to Philly, actually, in overtime. So his average for the week, 38.7 points per game. Wow. Over 10 rebounds, over 7 assists per game. Shot it from the field, nearly 53% from the field, along with nearly 84% from the free throw line. So Pascal Siakam, man, having the all-star campaign for those Raptors. So Pascal Siakam doing his thing. So that's your players of the week, guys. So let's talk about the games for Monday, shall we? It was 7 games on the slate. We'll talk about a few of the games. So actually, before we do that, let's talk about Domantas Sabonis. He has a fractured thumb that he suffered Friday on the 23rd of December. He suffered that against Washington, but he says he's going to play through it. So you know, give him credit for toughing it out with the fractured thumb. So Yeah, so kudos to him. So, all right, let's talk about the games. The Brooklyn Nets win streak goes to 9 games as they defeat Cleveland on the road 125 to 117. In that game, you had KD and Kyrie getting 32 points each. Along with KD's 32, he also had 9 rebounds, 5 assists. And for Kyrie, along with his 32, he had 5 assists and 4 rebounds. So the dynamic duo over there in Brooklyn getting it done. And on the losing side, Darius Garland, 46 points and 8 assists. So Darius Garland balling out. And he also dropped 5 3-pointers as well. So Darius Garland getting it done. Donovan Mitchell, he actually only had 15 points. And he did that on 5 of 16 shooting. So seems like they put the clamps on him in that regard. So that is that for that game. Let's move on to Mr. PG-13 himself, Paul George. Paul George drops 32 points, along with 11 assists, 4 rebounds, and 3 steals, as the LA Clippers beat Detroit on the road in overtime as well. 142 to 131. I mean, these scores, man, it's like I'm back in the 80s with these scores. Well, the early 80s, that is. Anyway, and Paul George led about 7 players in double figures in that game. For Detroit, Bojan Bogdanovic, 23 points for him, and he led 8 players in double figures. So balanced scoring is in this game, but a lot of points as well. But nonetheless, the Clippers prevail. Moving on, Kevin Porter Jr. explodes for 36 points, along with 9 assists, 7 rebounds, as Houston blows out Chicago on the road. There's a theme here, guys. Houston blows out Chicago on the road for the win in that game. And also for Houston, excuse me, Alperen Sengun, 25 points, 11 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 blocks. Jalen Green, Porter's backcourt mate, 24 points for him and 6 rebounds. And for Chicago, DeMar DeRozan, 31 points, 9 assists, and 5 rebounds. So Houston gets the win on the road in that one. Lauri Markkanen, you know I've been talking about him, guys, ad nauseum for some, but what can you do? So he gets 32 points with 12 rebounds, 2 blocks, but he does it in a loss on the road to San Antonio, 126 to 122. So he does his thing in a loss. Leading the way for the Spurs, Devin Vassell. Devin Vassell, the young player over there, the young shooting guard, 24 points, 8 assists, 6 rebounds, 2 steals, and 2 blocks. And he led 7 players in double figures. And for Utah supporting Markkanen, Jordan Clarkson, who's having a fine year. He has 25 points along with 7 rebounds and 4 assists. So then the last game we'll talk about, Jeremy Grant goes for 32 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 blocks, as Portland takes down Charlotte 124-113. And also in that game, Jusuf Nurkic, the fine center over there, 28 points for him, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, 3 blocks, and 2 steals. When this guy is healthy, he can fill up the stat sheet like that. So, Dame, not a great game for him. 17 points on 5 of 18 shooting, 1 of 10 from 3. So, definitely not good. He did have 9 assists and 2 blocks. So he had other aspects of his game going. Leading the way for the Hornets, LaMelo Ball, who's been playing well since he's been healthy. 27 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists, and 2 steals for him. So that is your Monday slate. Let's move on to Tuesday. Tuesday, you have Mike Brown of the Sacramento Kings. He enters health and safety protocols. So the coach of the Kings entering health and safety protocols. So he's going to have to miss some time. In the interim, associate head coach Jordi Fernandez takes over the coaching duties. So, and then he's going to have his hands full because he got Domantas Sabonis with the fractured thumb. So he's going to have to manage that situation there. So Mike Brown to miss some time there. Joe Mazzulla of the Boston Celtics, the coach there, he's going to miss the Tuesday game, which I will talk about, with an eye irritation. So in his place, you may have heard of this guy, Damon Stoudemire, name we haven't heard in quite a while. Former NBA player, 13-year vet, point guard. So he will be in the head coaching seat for the Tuesday game. So, in Joe Mazzulla's absence. Anyhow, so let's talk about the games. The big game, Luka Doncic, the player of the week for week 10. He's keeping the fire going, guys. He goes nuclear, in fact, dropping 60 points, a franchise record, of course, a career high for him, 21 rebounds, and 10 assists, and chalking 2 steals. So he becomes the first player in history with a 60-point, 20 rebound, 10 assist game. So Luka Doncic in rarefied air. So as they defeat the Knicks in overtime, 126-121. Also supporting Luka in this game, Spencer Dinwiddie. He has 25 points along with 6 rebounds and 5 assists. So Luka goes nuclear on the Knicks. Yeah, what can you do? And then, mind you, this game, actually, Jalen Brunson, it would have been a homecoming for him. He sat out this game. So, but the Knicks, played them tough. Leading the way for the Knicks, Quentin Grimes. Quentin Grimes with 33 points, including 7 3-pointers. Wow. This kid. He had 6 rebounds and 4 assists as well. Julius Randle continues his torrid play. 29 points for him. 18 rebounds. Oh, by the way, of those 29, 5 of those were 3-pointers. And he also had 4 assists for the Knicks. So, Dallas starting to heat up, actually. So, yeah, Dallas getting it done there. Russell Westbrook throws in another triple-double from the bench, fully embracing his role there as the Lakers win on the road versus the Orlando Magic, 129-104. to 110. So, and with that, the Lakers stop a 4-game losing streak. So this win coming in handy nonetheless. LeBron James leading the way, 28 points for him, 7 rebounds, and 5 assists. So, Lakers getting a much-needed win. Joel Embiid goes off for the Sixers. 48 points, 10 rebounds, 3 blocks, 3 steals, but in a loss nonetheless. 116 to 111 to the Washington Wizards. So, Joel Embiid, a monster performance, all for naught. And leading the way for the Wizards, Kristaps Porzingis, who's quietly having a pretty good year. He's been healthy for the most part. So, 24 points, 10 rebounds, 3 blocks, and 2 steals. James Harden supporting his guy, Joel Embiid. 26 points for him, 13 assists, 7 rebounds, and 3 steals. So, Harden playing pretty good himself. So, all right, so let's move on. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, of course, leading the way for Boston over Houston, 126 to 102. For Brown, he has 39 points along with 3 steals. Jason Tatum, 38 points, 8 rebounds, and 4 assists for him. So your dynamic duo there. It seems like you got a few of those in the East between KD, Kyrie, and B. Harden, and of course Jalen and Jason for Boston. So they lead the way for Boston over Houston. And for Houston, that backcourt there playing solid. Jalen Green leading the Rockets with 28 points. Kevin Porter Jr., 22 points, 9 assists, 5 rebounds. So Boston gets the win. Pascal Siakam, the other guy, I've been talking about, former player of the week for Week 10 in the East. Scores 36 points along with 9 rebounds and 5 assists. But he does it in a loss to the LA Clippers, 124-113. And in that game, both Paul George and Ivica Zubac both score 23 points apiece, along with Paul George's 23, 7 rebounds, 5 assists. And for Zubac, he adds 16 rebounds. So, also you get contributions from Norman Powell, 22 points, and then Reggie Jackson with 20 points himself. So, but Pascal Siakam taking the L against the Clippers. Ja Morant has 35 points and 6 assists, but he does it in a loss, 125 to 108. Loss at home to Phoenix. So Phoenix getting it done despite not having the services of Devin Booker. I'll talk about him in a few seconds. Leading the way for Phoenix, Dwayne Washington Jr. from the bench, 26 points and 8 assists. And he leads 8 players in double figures for the Suns. So, Ja Morant with a nice performance, but in a loss. Michael Porter Jr., the name we haven't really called this season. He drops 30 points along with 6 rebounds and 2 steals as Denver gets a road win at Sacramento, 113 to 106. So, and also in that game, Jamal Murray, 25 points for him, 7 assists, 5 rebounds, 2 steals. The Joker, 20 points for him, 11 assists, 9 rebounds. So just shy of the triple-double is Nikola Jokic. So, and then leading the way for Sacramento, Devin Fox with 26 points. And in this game, actually, there was no Domantas Sabonis. They want to manage him with the fractured thumb, so he sat out this game. So that's your Tuesday slate, guys. So let us move on to Wednesday. Wednesday, where you had 8 games, but a little bit of news prior to that. Devin Booker, I just mentioned him a second ago. He's going to be out for at least 4 weeks with that groin injury. The groin has been troubling him for a while, guys. He re-injures it on Christmas Day when he played. So, in fact, he only played 4 minutes in that game because he aggravated it so much. So, Devin Booker is going to be out for a minute, guys. So, in terms of fantasy basketball, Landry Shamet, I guess he's probably be the prime beneficiary in the absence of a Devin Booker. So he would be the one I would go running to the waiver wires to grab if you got space on your roster. So with that said, but tough break for Phoenix, man. Very tough break for them. So we'll see what happens there. So, let's talk about the Wednesday games. We'll talk about a few of them. It's 8 games played. Alec Burks, a name we haven't really called this season as of yet. For Detroit, 32 points from the bench in a scuffle-laden game as Detroit beats Orlando 121-101. And also in that game, Sadiq Bey scoring 28 points and 8 rebounds, I believe, also from the bench. So some scoring punch from the bench for those Detroit Pistons. But a game that saw Killian Hayes push Mo Wagner for the Orlando Magic. So that led into a kind of a melee there. So suspensions, you know that's coming. So I'll talk about that in a few minutes. So the skirmish happened. Those two get ejected along with Hamidou Diallo for the Detroit Pistons. So, of course, you know suspensions are coming down. I'll talk about that. Roy Hachimura, another name I ever really called this year much. 30 points and 5 rebounds from the bench as Washington trounces Phoenix. I talked about Phoenix. They're struggling now. 127-102 is the score as the Wizards beat up on the Booker-less Suns. Leading the way, DeAndre Ayton, 31 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 steals for the Suns. But Roy Hachimura, interesting enough, comes off the bench and gives you punch. The Brooklyn Nets win 10 in a row as they beat Atlanta on the road 108-107. Kyrie Irving leading the way, 28 points for him, 8 assists, 5 rebounds. KD, 26 points for him, 16 rebounds, 8 assists, and 2 blocks. And leading the way for Atlanta. Atlanta, by the way, was without Trae Young, Clint Capella, and DeAndre Hunter. So DeJounte Murray leads the way for them with 24 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists. So the Nets streaking, guys. So they're up to 10 in a row, which is a league best thus far. Zion Williamson has a career-high 43 points as the New Orleans Pelicans squeezes by the Minnesota Timberwolves 119-118. So Zion goes off for the Pelicans. And in the loss for the Timberwolves, Anthony Edwards, who's been manning the fort since there's no Karl Anthony Towns, 27 points for him. D'Angelo Russell also with 27 points. So then in an epic Central Division battle, Chicago beats Milwaukee in overtime, 119 to 113. Leading the way for Chicago, DeMar DeRozan, 42 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 blocks, and 2 steals for him. Zach LaVine with 24 points himself. And then leading the way for the Bucks, who else? Giannis Antetokounmpo, 45 points, 22 rebounds, and 7 assists. So that's your division battle over there between Chicago and Milwaukee. Nikola Jokic, he goes crazy, guys, for 40 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, but in a loss. A loss actually to Sacramento, 127 to 126. In this game, they actually have Domantas Sabonis back for this game. So he sat the front end of a back-to-back. And he led the way with 31 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists. De'Aaron Fox also 31 points with 13 assists. But leading the scoring was Malik Monk with 33 points, guys. So Malik Monk getting it done. But Nikola Jokic, his 40-point performance, pretty much in vain. So that's your Wednesday slate, guys. Let's talk about Thursday. Thursday, you had 6 games on a Thursday. But let's talk about suspensions, guys. We talked about the scuffle between the Pistons and the Magic. So the league hands down a 3-game suspension for Killian Hayes, 2 games for Mo Wagner, and then 1 game for Hamidou Diallo, along with 1 game for Cole Anthony for leaving. These are guys that left the bench. Cole Anthony, R.J. Hampton, Gary Harris, another Harris, Kevon Harris, Admiral Schofield, Franz Wagner, Mo Bamba, and Wendell Carter. So my guess is they're going to space it out because there's no way they can have all these guys sit at once. So I'm sure they'll space it out so it doesn't hurt the Magic that bad. Alright, so that's the punishment laid down for the fight that took place on Wednesday. Alright, let's talk about a few of the games. We can talk about some of these games here. Buddy Hield scores the quickest 3-pointer to start a game. He did his with 3 seconds, which beats the record held by another former Indiana Pacer, Reggie Miller, who did his in 4 seconds. And Indiana gets the win over Cleveland, 135 to 126. In that game, Tyrese Halliburton, 29 points for him, and he has 6 3-pointers to go along with that. 9 assists, 2 steals. Buddy Hield himself, 25 points with 5 3-pointers. And of course, the quick one to start the game. Lead the way for Cleveland, Donovan Mitchell, 28 points, 6 assists, 4 rebounds, 2 steals to lead the Cavs in the loss. Familiar theme, guys. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown scoring 29 points each as Boston takes out the Clippers 116 to 110. along with Tatum's 29, 11 rebounds, and for Jalen, 7 rebounds for him with his 29. Leading the way for the Clippers, Kawhi Leonard, who's, playing his way back into shape. 26 points, 8 rebounds. Paul George, 24.6 assists, 4 rebounds for him. So, Boston getting the win. Ja Morant has a career-high 17 assists, along with 19 points and 4 rebounds, as the Memphis Grizzlies get the road win over Toronto, 119-106. Leading the way for Memphis, Dylan Brooks, 25 points for him, and 6 assists. So, and of course, leading Toronto, who else? Pascal Siakam, 25 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 steals for him. So, Julius Randle goes off for 41 points, along with 11 rebounds, 7 assists, as New York loses on the road to the Spurs, the San Antonio Spurs, 122-115. So, Julius Randle, who's been playing out of his mind. I mean, come time for All-Star consideration, he has to be in the conversation. So, which I'll talk about that in a little bit. Also, for the Knicks, Emmanuel Quickly, 36 points for him, 7 rebounds, 7 assists. So, Quickly getting it done, but in a loss. And for the Spurs, Keldon Johnson, 30 points for him. Romeo Langford, 23 points. So, the Knicks lose on the road to the Spurs. Luka Doncic, another triple-double for him for the season. 35 points, 13 assists, 12 rebounds as Dallas wins over Houston, 129-114. So, Luka continues to do his thing, and his team wins. So, that's the important thing. And Jalen Green leads the way for Houston with 23 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. So, alright guys, I'm going to cut it off there. When I come back, well, in the next episode that I post, we'll talk about the Friday games, the Saturday games, New Year's Day. There's games on that day, just a few. And then we'll talk about what lies ahead, guys. A lot of exciting stuff ahead for week 12 of the NBA. Alright guys, so once again, I thank you for listening. Much appreciated. And we'll talk soon. Alright, take care and be safe. And once again, Happy New Year. So, my peeps, if you like what you're listening to, you can go to my website, www.allthingsbasketballwithgd.com. You can also email me at thatsportsdudegd@gmail.com. To support this podcast, you can go to my PayPal, and that email is thatsportsdudegd@gmail.com. Also on my Anchor page, I have a support button there that you can also use to help the podcast. I'm on all the major platforms like Anchor, Spreaker, Google Podcasts, Amazon, SoundCloud, YouTube, Castbox, Radio Public, Podchaser, just to name a few. And also you can find me on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Clubhouse, and Fanbase. So, once again, I thank you for listening and supporting this podcast. And take care and be safe.